sunsets and skies so blue. Mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave and weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. We know it all.
Down by the lot near the old cafe where the sun fries cars all night and day, there's a wild crew doing what they do. Yeah, you know them, the parking lot crew. Refugees with moves so tight, waving cars in left and right. 10 ways to say, yo, park that straight. 12 for bro, you're 20 late. Neanderthals in safety vests, snack in hand, but doing their best. One grunted loud, broke out in a jig. Turns out he just wants a parking gig. Canines bark like they run the block. Chased a drone down, beat the clock. One gave change with a tail wag spin. That dog's got tips and a toothy grin. Who you gonna call when the lot gets loud? Parking cones up and a drawn a crowd. Whistles blow and the scooters fly. It's the parking crew and the riding high. From the streets of town to the lot bazaar, they'll guard your ride like a superstar. Yeah, from Josie streets to America, it's the funky, fearless parking lot crew. Car guard shout near the garbage bin. Who parks skill? You let them in. They blow their whistles in perfect time, like a backup band with a traffic sign. Then here comes Wyatt, the colonel boss. Duct tape boots and a look that's sauce. Rides a scooter with flashing beams. Salutes pigeons, yells at ice cream. Men, dogs, apes from a line. No dents, no scrapes, no overtime. If they park like chaos, made a plan. Fight them twice and be the man. Who's got the beat in a vested hat? Parking legends funky like that. Guard your eye with soul and flair, and a hi-fi breeze in the summer air. From this lie here to America, it's the wild, proud parking lot crew.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back. Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. It's Chris live in central Pennsylvania. My sincere apologies for being tardy, but breaking news is breaking news, and I had to cover it, and I was busy working that issue. So my apologies for keeping some of you waiting about 12 or 14 minutes. It was entirely on me. I didn't forget. I didn't neglect you. I didn't, I set that stream up earlier because I had a suspicion that I was going to be busy with a breaking news story this morning, and I am busy with that breaking news story. One about South Africa and another one about Israel attacking the Syrian military headquarters. So the problem is that, well, no, it's rude, Tom. It's rude. But I am a one-man operation, so it's difficult at times to convey everything and communicate everything across. But thank you all for your patience. And thank you for being here on a Wednesday. I'm going to get through the news here. We got a lot of topics to go through here. But there's an all-out assault on the Democratic Alliance in the media by the African National Congress trying to cover up its actions by attacking the DA. In the independent line, Ramaphosa accused the DA of cheaply exploiting engagements between South Africa and the United States. That is not at all what happened. That's a mischaracterization. In News 24, Jason Felix reports right-wing nexus, presidency blasts DA over claims of Nkabisi Jonas denied U.S. visa. Then why isn't Nkabisi Jonas in the United States if he's a special envoy? If he's a special advisor to the president, then it makes sense he's in South Africa. But if he's a special envoy in a country whose relations are deteriorating more rapidly than frickin' people shedding, COVID viral particles, then why isn't he in America? So, and the third one here, this one's the most egregious. Times Live, Khatso Madisa reports that DA trying to use foreign state to affect policy changes in South Africa. This is an all-out media blitz and assault on their coalition partner in an effort to undermine governance in South Africa by covering up their actions. The bottom line here is that it's obvious that the ruling party has lied to South Africans, has gaslit them for months about their relationship and the nature of events with the United States and not telling the truth. They are whistling past the cemetery, folks. Give me just a moment here. Hey, Flesh, and welcome back. I haven't seen you in a bit. I was loading up a video. I need to change the graphic is not very good, so I'm going to reload this. I just don't like these thumbnail. I haven't had time to build a thumbnail, so I'm going with one that the AI is generating, which is not going to be particularly good. So I've got a video talking about the shocking drama between the ANC and DA. Explain. Yep. Yeah, why is the ANC attacking their own partner? I like that. Change it to GNU. Let's see what comes up there. All right. So, yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I'll use that one. Well, it's not a good one because it's a couple of white folks, but we'll use that for now. And hopefully that'll do the trick for this one here. So I got to give that a minute now. I was trying to make an image for it. I'll do that later on. I can understand how the DA and Fear and Fun can still be a toxic relationship. They're trying to fix it from the inside would be my expectation. We respect you. Well, thank you. Well, I should respect you by being on time. But thank you. Fun in the chat. Pity you never won that lottery. Which lottery is that? To go to the White House? Yeah. All right. But thank you all for your understanding. I do appreciate it. The 614 people currently here. And again, my profuse apologies for being late. It's just, it's a lot to do. And I try to get as much done as I can for you all. Okay. All right. So that looks like it's going to work. I need to, unfortunately, open up another studio because this thing takes forever to finish dorking around. So why is the ANC attacking their own GNU partner? No issues. That's not done. Today's recording date wasn't concluded. And that, got to make a couple settings on this. Okay, good to go. Turn on the monetization for the ads. Otherwise, YouTube doesn't promote the video because I don't try to get money off the ads. But these days, they get ahead and make money anyway, whether I promote it or not. All right, so that video is now published in just a moment. Hello, hello, hello. Come on, YouTube. There we go. Okay, it's up now. Right, so when we're done here, you can go check it out. Why is the ANC attacking its GNU partner? Yep, well, there it's up. Okay, so hopefully get some better traction. I haven't had a video over 40,000 now since, gosh, since the 7th. It's been 9 days, over a week since I had a video over, and that was the Trump video, sending the tariff notice, and that one. It's tailed off quite a bit. That's down to just 40 per hour, so it's going to be hard to make 150,000 on that one, but it was a very good video nonetheless. Thank you, Mr. Tusk, for subscribing. All right, so lots of news to get through here, folks. No, I'm not pulling Ramaphosa. He was 40 minutes late. I was only about 12 minutes late. How can the DA be responsible? Is it not the ANC that's ruling and just using DA for points to be governing? Well, that's pretty much what I've been saying. DA, if you believe they know better than the people who voted for them. Well, that's a harsh judgment. Have you seen the story on the spat between the DA and Freedom Front? No, I haven't. Yes, Ricky Sang, the chickens are coming home to roost for the African National Congress. They are falling apart at the seams, and they just don't even see it. Spoke to Ethiopian business this morning. They're getting sick and tired of Ramaphosa. Why would an Ethiopian be interested in that unless they've flooded into South Africa? All right, let's get to the news, folks. Lots to get through, as usual. Breaking news, Israel has attacked Syria's Damascus, the capital, amid fighting nearby. So, Ludwig, thank you for your membership. Okay. Went through a tough, scary morning today. Was an attempted hijack in Boksburg across the road from Saps. Ended up with a fractured finger and some stitches. Oh my goodness, Andre Wenzel. So sorry to hear that. I hope that the scumbags came out worse. I hope that they came out worse and they didn't get anything. You're right, Yolandi. They don't think they're wrong. Still saying F off America. Well, when the jobs disappear and the people start marching on them, MK is put an ultimatum to Ramaphosa. That's the other breaking news. I'm going to talk about that. I was looking for more sources, but only one source has reported. There will be a lot of significant issues to report on over the next few weeks. Well, it'd be nice if it did drive my... There aren't 2 million Ethiopians in South Africa. There are Ethiopians, but there aren't 2 million in South Africa. There are, yes, but not 2 million. Yeah. All right, let's go to the news, folks. Israel attacks Syria's Damascus amid fighting. The Israeli army has launched air attacks on the Syrian Defense Ministry and near the presidential palace in Damascus as it continues strikes on Syrian forces in the southern city of Suwada. Strike comes after Israel threatened to increase attacks if Syrian government forces are not withdrawn from the south of the country where there's been fighting between Druze and security forces. You know, at some point, even those of us who support Israel's defense are starting to wonder what exactly is going on here. I understand attacking Iran in a preemptive strike. I get that. I understand responding to attacks from Lebanon, from Hezbollah, and going after Hamas, but why Syria? This is an analysis. They claim he needs the war to appease his coalition. I don't know about that. And disrupt his corruption trial. I seriously doubt he's getting people killed so he can avoid a corruption trial. Sad news once again, folks. Sick, twisted world that is South Africa. Another violent assault on South Africans. A 79-year-old woman raped and murdered on a remote farm in the Western Cape. Valerie Enzer, who lived alone on the farm for 18 years, was found dead on her porch by a farm worker. A 17-year-old suspect arrested in connection with the murder and rape of a 79-year-old woman on a farm outside Van Viksdorp is set to appear in the Ladysmith Magistrates Court tomorrow. Ladysmith, that's not the Western Cape. Sorry, I said Western Cape. No, it's not Western Cape. Valerie Enzer, who lived alone on the farm for the past 18 years, was found dead on her porch by a farm worker Monday morning. According to Sergeant Chris Spees, spokesperson for the Southern Cape Police, Ladysmith Police opened a murder case after Enzer's body was discovered at 9 a.m., an hour's drive from Ladysmith. The investigation led to the arrest of a 17-year-old boy who remains in police custody. The circumstances surrounding her death form part of an ongoing police investigation. Post-mortem examination to determine the cause of death will be conducted. It's alleged that Enzer was brutally murdered and possibly raped. A resident of Van Wicksdorp said, who wishes to remain anonymous, said Enzer was a good person. She said the town has been left in shock and horror following the murder. She was a lovely woman and a truly kind heart. She didn't deserve to die like this. Folks, I'm going to say it once again. At some point, the South African community has to take responsibility for its elderly. I don't care if they're stubborn and they want to stay where they're at. If you leave them in a remote place on a farmstead, and a house, vulnerable to this sort of violence, this is why the elderly are attacked on farms. It is past the time to start either living with the elderly on these remote locations or removing them, whether they want to be moved or not, to a safer location. I mean, look, we just reported on my friend's mother-in-law being assaulted and her partner being murdered near Brits just a few weeks ago. This never stops. It never stops. It is unacceptable. It's also unacceptable for the community to do nothing about it. Yes, the elderly again, a 79-year-old woman. Can you imagine? He lives 79 years old just to be raped by some scumbag, racist pig who's 17 years old who has no respect for life, and then be murdered after being raped. It's Yeah, Vilma says, my kids forced me to sell. Well, maybe they love you, Vilma. Maybe they love you. Look, people should be able to live where they want and live in peace and enjoy their life. But it's one elderly person after another that's being assaulted and murdered in these remote locations. They're cowards. They rarely go for the healthy unless they come in overwhelming numbers. It's just sick. It's a twisted country. The Mkonto Isizwe party has given Ramaphosa until Friday to resign. Oh, Pringle Bay. I didn't see that one. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Georgine. I didn't know there's one in the Western Cape. I know the one in Natal. MK party gives President Ramaphosa until Friday to resign and threatens a rolling mass action if he does not resign. The Mkonto Isizwe party has formally delivered a letter to demand Ramaphosa, calling on him to resign from office by 9 a.m. Friday morning, 18 July. In a letter seen by AOL, among other things, the MK party tells Ramaphosa the decision to appoint Professor Chalia as acting Minister of Police is in contravention to the Constitution because the academic is not a member of the Cabinet or the National Assembly. Well, I'm sorry, but they're not very bright. You don't have to be a member of the National Assembly or the Cabinet. The President has a prerogative to appoint 2 members who are not in Parliament to the Cabinet. So they're just dumbasses. But if they want to protest or ask him to resign, I got no problem with that. MK Party National Spokesman Lamulo Ndela said Ramaphosa must resign in honor of Nelson Mandela, the founding commander-in-chief of Mkonto Isizwe. Yeah, the terrorist. Should Ramaphosa fail to heed his call, the MK will pursue a range of lawful and peaceful actions, including constitutional litigation, a motion of no confidence in Parliament, and a rolling mass action nationwide. These steps will reflect the will of the people. Well, all right, folks, get ready for a motion of no confidence in Parliament on Friday. Let's see if MK can put their money where their mouth is. Let's see if MK will put their money where their mouth is. Will there be a vote of no confidence against Ramaphosa come Friday? Of course it's rich coming from MK bitter ender. Of course. The irony is not lost on me. Oh, he's attacking MK in the budget vote, huh? Right, stop it. I didn't put any blame on the personalist tax. Stop. First off, you have to be a realist. This cultural sickness will not be resolved in the next 5, 10, or 20 years. It will take 2 generations of people with 2-parent families teaching values and respect for life before this thing starts to turn the tide. That's not going to happen. So if you have an elderly family member that's living in a remote location and you leave them there, if they refuse to move, and then they're brutally, savagely murdered, what did you expect was going to happen? What did you expect was going to happen? Rakes, I'm not blaming the elderly. Stop contorting my words and hear what I say, not what you want to hear. Well, I'm going to wind up with no audience because that's like 3 broadcasts in a row where someone's come in and argued against me and they're wrong. And I don't think Race is going to leave, but I haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite since he was wrong. And I didn't see Milk and Honey last night after I asked Milk and Honey to tell me which WhatsApp group he was talking about. He didn't like the fact that I asked the question. He just wanted to come in and complain about it. Oh, well, it'll be back to 50 people in the live streams before you know it. Yeah, so MK is demanding that Ramaphosa resign by Friday, or they'll do a motion of no confidence. It'd be great to see Ramaphosa start seeing votes of no confidence, and he probably won't survive. Although this one, if it's brought by MK, won't be supported by the DA. But if the DA brings it or Freedom Front Plus brings it, maybe be supported. But we'll see what happens. Sorry, my wash machine is draining. I heard some noise. Ramaphosa is not empowered to put Mkuno on leave, make Chikala acting minister, says the EFF's lawyer. Well, that's not true. He is not empowered to put him on leave. That's correct. But he can make the guy an acting minister. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. That's in the Constitution. Ramaphosa is threatened with legal action over his failure to appoint a board. 4 months have lapsed since Parliament recommended 9 candidates to fill the National Youth Development Agency, but the list is gathering dust and union buildings waiting for Ramaphosa's signature. So the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities adopted the list in March after interviews that were marred by drama, sent it to Ramaphosa for him to appoint them, and the list continues. All these people. Not a single white person on the list. Not a single white person on the list. Kelly Sandra Beloy, Tembizi Precious Mua, Wiseman Manfinisi Mambata. None of these people are white. Well, they've effectively taken all whites out of the mix. Legal action against Ramaphosa over police minister's special leave from the EFF. I believe this one is. The EFF contends that Ramaphosa does not have the constitutional power to put a cabinet member on leave of absence. In fact, he does not have that right. Yep, but he can appoint someone who's not a member of parliament. He gets 2 appointments. Trump tariffs will put 100,000 jobs at risk. Wow, somebody in South Africa is waking up. Lesetja Kganyago, the Reserve Bank governor, said today that 100,000 jobs in agriculture and automotive sectors will be lost. Well, it's going to be a lot worse than that, buddy. A lot worse than that. If we not find alternative measures, the impact jobs could be about 100,000, so that's what we face. No. Many more. Many more. Well, the Jonas is nowhere to be seen in Washington, say insiders, as the presidency tries to claim that, well, he's just not, he's still a special envoy. Since Nkabisi Jonas was appointed President Ramaphosa's special envoy in the United States in April, not a single U.S. official has seen or heard of him, according to sources. Of course, because he's not a special envoy. It's just bogus window dressing and gaslighting of South Africa's public, something the ANC is very good at. April, May, June, July, 4 months now. This is his 4th month as special envoy, and he's yet to go to the United States. According to the Democratic Alliance, says Emma Powell, it's because he has no diplomatic visa and his credentials rejected. And what did I say? People kept coming in the chat the other day. Oh, Gwede Mantashe has been arrested. No, that's not true. That's fake news. You guys are watching satire sites. Some of you are watching satire sites, and you keep reporting it. I'm gonna tell you that I have responded to at least 40 emails and WhatsApp messages, at least 40 in the past 10 days, where people send me, oh, look at this. And I say, wait, first off, it's implausible. Think about it. I don't necessarily tell these people that. Think about it's implausible. Then go look where the source is. And the source, many of these sources comes from a satire site. It says right at the top, South African satire, not to be taken seriously. Guys, you got to be more discerning. And this is one of those. Mashatile being arrested. Well, no, now he's appointed as the acting police minister. And there is no international warrant of arrest out for Ramaphosa. As much as people might want that, there is no arrest warrant for Ramaphosa. At least 2 fabricated AI-generated YouTube videos falsely claim Gwede Mantashe has been arrested. Well, I wasn't one of them. A viral Facebook page with a shifting identity is pushing unverified corruption claims involving Ramaphosa and Bidvest. Right. I also rubbished that one too. You know, people are trying to link Ramaphosa and Bidvest because he had a tie and saying that he's responsible for the bursary discriminating against whites. No, he may have had investment in that, but I mean, his last role in that was back in 2014. So, I mean, that's just ludicrous to make that claim. People need to quit. Look, you don't need to embellish. You don't need to fabricate. Just tell the truth. The truth is bad enough. The truth is bad enough. Can I confirm how true what is, Leanne? Did you write something else? I don't see a previous message from Leanne. What do you want me to confirm, Leanne? Rake says, apologies. I know you make sense, but no. Rakes, again, folks, no need to apologize. If you're not insulting me, there's no need to apologize. It's okay to ask questions. No one needs to apologize for. Thank you for super chat. There's no need to apologize for making a statement. Rakes, your statement was perfectly fine. You just misunderstood or you inferred incorrectly. I'm not blaming the victim here. Good Lord, no. I'm blaming the system that isn't going to change. And what I'm saying is that people have to use good judgment. Vilma, as she said, was relocated against her will. She didn't want to move, but it was for her safety. People waking up slow. The newbies joining the refugee program daily. Thank you, Colonel, for correct news all the time. You're welcome, Helen of Troy. Dirk Roberts says, Colonel, what's your assessment of the current U.S. tariffs on South African goods? Do you think? Okay, Dirk, I will answer your super chat, but that's unfair. Maybe you're relatively new to the program. I don't think you are, but please don't ask questions. I've interrupted myself here. So I've got a lot of news to get through until I get through the news, but I'll answer your question. Never walk alone, says Robert Carl Burns. Thank you. Thank you very kindly. So Dirk says, what's your assessment of current U.S. tariffs on South African goods, and do you think the trade relationship is heading for further strain? Well, yeah, it's gone off a cliff. Hence the image that I generated. I'm not a political cartoonist, but I did use AI to create this political cartoon. This holiday in Namibia will be epic, boys. Thanks for visiting South Africa. Don't come back. Look at them going off in their Mercedes. Cyril driving with a big grin as he drives off the Fish River Canyon, going into Namibia. John C. Neisen looking terrified. Valencolin Halabisa can't look. He's got his eyes covered. And Gate McKenzie cheering his boss along. Ooh, I love Cyril. Go Cyril. Go Cyril. Go Cyril. Yeah, that's really the situation you have right now in South Africa. As far as the tariffs, the current tariffs are 10%, except for steel, copper, and automobiles. Automobiles are 25%, so that's devastating. 87% export drop to the U.S. in cars. From last year, 9,700 cars were shipped the most recent month, and this past one, it was 1,100, an 87% drop in exports to the U.S. That's with just a 25% tariff, which rises for all goods to South Africa, which is 10 for most goods. All goods go to 30% on August 1st, likely to be 40% because South Africa is a member of the BRICS evil alliance, and that grouping is getting an additional 10%, according to Trump. It was unclear how he's going to apply it, though. So it could be 40%. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, South Africa is going to go off a cliff. Its economy is going to implode. Right now, it's experiencing 0.8% GDP growth, and the U.S. accounts for about 4 or 5% of South Africa's GDP between the two-way trade going each direction. Losing most of your $4 billion trade surplus and your $12 billion in exports to the United States is going to have a devastating impact on South Africa. That's about 2% of GDP. So 2% of GDP is just going to disappear. Nobody's going to buy your stuff that's not competitive. We'll buy wine from elsewhere. We'll buy our BMWs from Germany or from Alabama. We'll buy our BMW parts from Germany or Alabama because you have no advantage anymore. Your artificial advantage of AGOA is gone. Now you're paying a tariff and you're already seeing you can't compete with other countries with the tariffs. So South Africa is screwed. And these ANC lunatics keep misleading South Africans. They're just whistling past the cemetery. That 100,000 jobs is a joke. That's a drop in the bucket. There's 141,000 jobs in the automotive industry alone directly tied to exports to the United States. Those jobs are going to be gone, almost all of them. And then all the parts suppliers, all the manufacturers, all the resource makers, all the transport people, all the restaurants, all the hotels, all the rental places people live in after getting those salaries and surviving, going to Ster-Kinekor, going to Steers, going to, Mug and Bean. That ain't going to happen. They're going to be broke. Yes, Jonas was the chair of MTN, which is involved in the Iran situation. I doubt that's connected to his visa, because there's no reason. I mean, he hasn't had a judgment against him. So you wouldn't deny a visa to somebody because they're accused of something, unless it was egregious like murder. Teresa Mostart, 140 Rand, thank you for that. Okay. 2% GP, where is our advantage? There is no advantage. It's gone. All right, so back to the news. So these viral Facebook video with the shifting, thank you for the super chats, guys. Shifting identity is pushing unverified corruption claims involving Ramaphosa and Bidvest. Both platforms form part of a broader pattern of political disinformation targeting high-profile ANC figures. Well, yeah, that may be true, but we have an open, disinformation campaign from the ANC and from the media in South Africa trying to mislead you about the Democratic Alliance, mislead you about the Freedom Front Plus, mislead you about farm murders, mislead you about the tariffs, mislead you about a whole host of things. So, it cuts both ways. Paul Mashatile is not in the United States, where the ANC needs to repair relations. Where is Paul Mashatile? Anybody know where Paul Mashatile is? The deputy president. Want to take a guess where he's at? Is he in the United States working on relations? Welcome back, Napoleon Dynamite. Is he? And what did Teresa Mostart say? Why are you attacking Teresa Mostart? What did she say? Okay, I didn't see what she said. Let's clean up the mess and not be attacking each other. Teresa, if you said something inappropriate, don't repeat it. And Napoleon Dynamite, don't attack other viewers. Okay? All right. Okay, he's not in Durban. No, he's not in Durban. Yes, he's in China. China. So the U.S. needs a better relationship with South Africa. Where's the deputy president? In China. Where's the agriculture minister? In China. So you need a better relationship, and the South African government is claiming they have a good faith effort to improve relations with the United States. But they're in China. They're in China. China. Yeah, so again, the ANC claiming they're making good faith efforts. They sent a junior delegation to U.S. Africa Business Summit, even though it was just 2 hours away by plane to Luanda in Southern Africa, in SADC, and they don't care. They're lying to you. And when people start going hungry, then they're going to have a hard time denying it. Joan Pearl, I have no idea what you're saying. So deny USA, which we knew based on how they came back months ago. I have no idea what that is. A tour of China started on Monday. It's scheduled to continue until Friday. So he's spending an entire week there. His team is a delegation includes Deputy Minister of National Relations Tandi Moraka. That's the terror lover who went to sign the book of condolences at the Iranian embassy. Minister of Small Business Development Stella Ndabeni Abrahams, former communications minister. One failed job after another for Stella. Minister of Tourism from the No Good Party, Tani Pat, is there. Industry and Competition, Parks Tao. Instead of in America negotiating a trade deal, Parks Tao is in China. Minister of Water and Sanitation, Pemi Majudina, and Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen. So the ANC has no delegation in America, no ambassador, no trade representative, and a 30% tariff looming, and they're lying to you, telling you, oh, we are working in good faith with the United States. Yet they've sent the deputy president, a deputy minister, a minister, 2, 3 ministers, 4 ministers, 5, 6 ministers from his ridiculously obese cabinet to China. What do they need to repair with China? China has all the access it wants to South Africa. China controls the ANC. What the heck? What the heck? Well, I don't know how it's going to mitigate anything from the United States. This is insane. China is not going to do anything for them. Well, this was a fascinating story yesterday, which is bizarre to say the least. Kumbuju Nchiveni, the evil ghoul who sat in the Oval Office and smirked while the Kill the Boer song was played on video. Remember Natalie, Dim the Lights? She sat there like this. Kumbuju Nchiveni, the failed minister, who's the minister in the presidency now, had a briefing about the national security strategy in which she said, South Africa is vulnerable to coups. We're worried about coups. But don't worry, we've taken steps. There'll be no coup. Thank you, Herman. Hey, Herman Russ. Exuberant import fees to China. Exactly. No free trade. Yeah, well, there's your BRICS for you, Herman. There's your BRICS. Oh, we're part of BRICS. You don't even have a trade agreement with the BRICS members. You don't even have reciprocal agreements. You can't be a white-collar professional in South Africa and go to China without a visa and go work there like you can in the European Union. You can't do that because BRICS is just BS. It's total fiction. Total fiction. Negotiating trade deals. There's no trade deal with China. Give me a break. But meanwhile, Kumbuzu Nchiveni is trying to scare people and pretend that the ANC is in trouble. She looks like a little girl who got lost on her way to the toilet. Excuse me, sir. Sir, where is the potty? Could you tell me where the potty is? Please tell me where the potty is. Minister in the presidency, Kumbuzu Nchiveni assured South Africans of their safety despite potential coup risks with measures already in place to mitigate threats. What the heck does that mean? Measures already in place. Look, ladies and gentlemen, she has announced to you that South Africa is vulnerable to coup. Let's see. Let me get in the Wayback Machine with Sherman, Mr. Peabody, and we'll roll that back. Natalie, can you dim the lights? Dim the lights, Natalie. All right. Okay. So I'm going to take you back in time to June 29th, 2021. Where was I? Sitting here. The Constitutional Court found Jacob Zuma in contempt of court for walking out of hearings and not testifying. Okay. What did I predict on June 29th, 2021? There's some OGs in the crowd, I'm sure, who were here. I said there's going to be chaos and riots and trouble galore. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my, in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, I didn't predict it was going to happen in Soweto, so you got me there. I also didn't know that it was going to start at the Mui River Toll Plaza. I want to say Travel Plaza because I'm thinking of a truck stop. The Mui River Toll Plaza. I didn't predict that. I thought it was going to start in Conla. But in fact, on July 4th, it started at the Mui River Travel Plaza. And probably 3,000 people are dead, although the government claims it's 348 or 342. Trillions of dollars of business opportunity lost. Yeah. Never coming to South Africa because of the insurrection. That was an insurrection. Crime intelligence failed. Military intelligence failed. National security failed. The police failed. Private citizens had to fly bullets on their own aircraft to get to the police because they ran out of rubber and live ammunition very shortly. No water cannons pre-positioned in KwaZulu-Natal or in Soweto. Nothing. The military was sent in days later after Ramaphosa got off his ass and finally acknowledged the insurrection taking place. This was an insurrection that showed how vulnerable, what a Potemkin village the African National Congress is. It would take very little for MK to start riots to overthrow this government. I warned you of this on June 29th of 2021. Kumbuzo Ncheveni says they've discovered that the South African government is vulnerable to coups. You think? You think the military can't do anything? They have one qualified pilot to fly 2 Gripens. They have like a 5% operational readiness rate for their helicopter fleet. Their prime movers can't even move troops around. They got to drive around their POVs a lot of times. You can't even show up at the same airport when your troops come back from the DRC. They land at Waterkloof, while Angie 5% is in Bloemfontein, at Bloemsprut. The police are not equipped. They're not capable, easily overwhelmed. People get robbed right in front of police stations with cops watching it, all over South Africa. And she's telling you that South Africa is vulnerable to coup. But there are no indications of a coup. But that doesn't mean nobody's planning one. Wow. These people are lunatics. Wow. She assured the nation of the country's sovereign integrity, that citizens are safe, and the cluster is monitoring the matter closely. The security cluster says that citizens are safe. Tell that to Valerie Enser, a 79-year-old woman who was raped and murdered at a remote farm in Ladysmith over the weekend. Tell that to Brendan Horner, Edward Neumeister, Sifatso Pule. Tell it to those South Africans murdered in your safe country, Kumbuzo Ncheveni. Tell that to the Braun family and the suffering they've gone through. The impunity of criminals in South Africa, encouraged, exhorted by a corrupt, inept judicial system. I know things, says Gate McKenzie. Well, that's interesting. He says he would testify in a SAPS Commission of Inquiry. Well, if you know things, why didn't you come forward before, buddy? Sports, Arts, and Culture Minister Gate McKenzie has thrown his weight behind President Ramaphosa's decision to establish a judicial commission. On Sunday, Ramaphosa announced the commission. Speaking Newsroom Africa, McKenzie said he'd be willing to testify. I'm going to testify at the commission because I know things. If they call me, I'm going. There are guns in the Western Cape that are killing people. This one is not about getting your popcorn ready. It's about getting the popcorn factory ready, because the corruption that's going on is going to come out of there. Every gang boss of every cartel in the world, you always hear they're arrested in South Africa. They are here. What are these people doing here? I commend the president for saying, let's open the thing up for the country to see. Well, that's not what he's doing, Gayton. You're covering for Ramaphosa yet again because you love Ramaphosa. This commission is a joke. Senzo Mkhunu should have been reassigned or fired. Speaking of Senzo Mkhunu, his paid political holiday is slammed as Ramaphosa's urge to fire him. Cartel claims now rock the police ministry. Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu is on a paid political holiday, a legal expert and political analyst said. Well, Willie Spies from Hunter Spies said that. Well, yes, Willie, I said that as well. But IOL's not contacting me. I said that from the get-go. It's a paid political holiday. He's on holiday. Said that live when it happened. Well, ladies and gentlemen, not good news if you travel in South Africa. The only reliable carrier, for the most part, that has the broadest network in South Africa is about to face a strike. SAF Air, Fly SAF Air, salary negotiations, pilots, are they going to go on strike? Maybe. A strike is on the cards as trade union solidarity and Fly SAF Air negotiations have reached a deadlock after 3 months. They've given a final offer of 5.7% salary increase along with some additional adjustments to compensation. But the offer was rejected. Well, that's not good. That is not good. Solidarity Deputy General Secretary Helgard Kronius said the rejection was not only due to the content, it was especially due to the extremely tense relationship between the pilots and management. Well, it's a shame to hear that there's tension between the pilots and management. Meanwhile, Fikile Mabulula says members of parliament implicated in the SAP scandal are going to be exposed, dealt with an upcoming commission. Yeah, I'm sorry. Fikile, can you please tell us which members of parliament have committed crimes in the past have been exposed and dealt with? Was the mother of the nation, Winnie Mandela, was she dealt with? No. She was returned to office despite being a convicted felon twice over by the National Party and by the ANC. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ace Magashule, when did he face justice? Sandile Gumede is still waiting for her to face justice. Zweli Mkhize, Cyril Ramaphosa. You have no credibility, buddy. No credibility whatsoever. Not believing anything you say. Well, DIRCO slams the United Nations member states for flouting international law. Look at this guy. Zane Dangor criticized member states for selective application of international law at a press conference in Bogota. Yeah, the problem with that, buddy, is that you're selective memory. Selective nonsense is what it is. These people are unbelievable. It's hypocrisy. The ANC is angry because they say Israel is flouting ICJ judgments. There are no judgments against Israel. They're advisory opinions. Yes, they carry weight, but Israel's a sovereign state, and they are exercising their right under the United Nations Charter for Self-Defense. We can argue about the severity, the harm to civilians. Those are all legitimate concerns, but attacking Israel, falsely claiming genocide, which has not been declared, this guy's claiming it's a genocide. Meanwhile, the ANC did nothing over Gambia's case of genocide, the first one that ever occurred in 2019 before the ICJ. They didn't join it, not even as a friend of the court. No amicus brief. They don't care. They didn't care about the war crimes committed by the Ethiopian military in executing Tigrayan soldiers. They don't care about anything. They didn't care about anything. They've done nothing about the Uyghurs in China. They won't challenge China. And also, this guy complains about how the global North ignores the global South, and we want justice here. I'm sorry, it was China, which is a member of the global South, that has refused to adhere to the International Court of Justice findings that its occupation of the South China Sea is illegal under international law. They have no claim to the South China Sea. Their actions in attacking Philippine fishing boats and Coast Guard vessels is an act of war. And the ANC is silent on this. Not only are they silent, they've sent a delegation of 6 ministers, a deputy president, and a deputy minister to China to lick the boots of their communist overlords. Wow. Well, the United States has deported criminal alien invaders to Eswatini. Welcome to Swaziland. You're going to love that reed dance. U.S. Homeland Security Department said Tuesday a deportation flight carrying immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're not immigrants. Stop this nonsense. I'm sorry. Fake news there. Kanashka Sanj. Fake news. They are not immigrants. They are criminal alien invaders. Immigrants walk up to your border and present identification. And they give you bona fides. And they adhere to your rules, your laws, your mores. And they stay as long as they're allowed. Then they get the hell out. No, SAF Air is owned mainly by an Irish company. That's being changed, supposedly. U.S. sends those 5 men to Eswatini. They're from Vietnam, Jamaica, Laos, Cuba, and Yemen. Look at that. The exception of Jamaica, they're all pariah states. Vietnam, communist. Laos, communist. Cuba, communist. Yemen, Islamic fanatist. Wow. DHS spokesman Tricia McLaughlin said on social media that the flight to Eswatini had landed, marking the latest third country deportation. Wow. There you go. So we sent them to South Sudan. Now we've sent them to Eswatini. There you go, folks. Good riddance, you criminal bastards. South Africa is launching a campaign to save rhinos. Good luck with that. Your poaching is out of control. South Africa is the custodian of more than 80% of the continent's white rhino population, which is at risk from poaching and a dwindling population. Dr. Dion George, Member of Parliament and Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, remarked on Tuesday at the Rhino Renaissance campaign launch. The campaign, one of South Africa's G20 legacy projects, aims to rebuild the white rhino population in Kruger Park from just over 2,000 to 12,000 within the next decade. That seems highly implausible. Kruger National Park is home to over 12,000 rhinos. Well, how are you going to build it from 2 to 12,000 when it's already... That doesn't make any sense. Once nearly extinct, the white rhino population stood at fewer than 100 in the early 20th century, but South Africa acted through protected areas, community partnerships, and the hard work of rangers and conservation species was brought back from the brink. By 2010, there were more than 20,000 white rhinos. Yeah, but the black rhino is pretty much gone. Pretty much gone. They just have a mother and a daughter incapable of conceiving, and the semen from the last male that died. Ethiopia has arrested dozens of suspected Islamic State militants. Of course, Ethiopia calls all kinds of people militants that aren't, so we never know. 82 suspects were part of the Islamic State's Somalia affiliate, which operates in semi-autonomous Puntland region, according to a statement by the National Intelligence and Security Services. Interesting, to say the very least. Médecins Sans Frontières says 3 of its workers were intentionally killed in Tigray. The 2021 incident was an intentional and targeted killing of 3 clearly identified aid workers. Doctors Without Borders said 3 of its staff were intentionally murdered in 2021. The organization, known by its French signals MSF, on Tuesday published the findings of its internal review into the killings of Maria Hernandez, a Spanish national, and Ethiopians Johannes Halafon Reda and Tedros Gebremichael. MSF accused the Ethiopian government of failing to fulfill its moral obligations to conclude the investigations. The review confirmed the attack was an intentional and targeted killing of 3 clearly identified aid workers. And where is South Africa's government in anger about that? War crimes, crimes against humanity committed by the Ethiopian forces against aid workers. They're silent. They're busy navel-gazing at Gaza. Senegal has raised a shocking 11 billion rand in an oversubscribed domestic bond offering. Boy, the Senegalese bought that up. They raised 364 billion CFAs, that's the Central African franc, in a second public bond offering this year, exceeding its target of 300 billion. Wow. The issuance, which ran from June 19th to July 8th, was arranged by the CGF Borza with Société Générale Senegal as the co-lead. So the government is raising this money. Senegal has seen mounting concerns over its debt levels. International bonds have lost roughly a quarter of their value since revealing in September it had what analysts estimated was up to 14 billion in previously undisclosed debt. So the Senegalese hid their debt. That never goes over well for the investment community. The Iranian parliament says no negotiations with the U.S. without preconditions. So now Iran has preconditions to talk to us. I have preconditions too. It's called the stealth bomber. Iran has formally ruled out any further participation in U.S. nuclear negotiations unless a series of preconditions are met. In a Wednesday statement, Iran accused U.S. officials of working in bad faith earlier this year during nuclear negotiations, and the U.S. provided support for Israel during its bombing campaign. When the U.S. uses negotiations as a cover for deception, enables the Israeli regime to seek a surprise military assault and no longer possible to negotiate as before. Well, preconditions must be set. Well, I have preconditions for you. Surrender now, give up, or welcome to the Stone Age. That's my precondition for Iran. Indonesia has confirmed the trade deal that Trump announced yesterday, but the details are skimpy. Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto confirmed the broad outlines of a trade agreement with the United States. It was reached after what was called tough negotiations. I heard last night, and it says here that they'll be charged a 19% tariff. So South Africa, which went from 0 tariff to 10% to 30% and probably 40%, not negotiating good faith with the United States. Maybe they could have gotten themselves a 19% tariff. Wow. Former Thai prime minister, whose daughter was just removed, and his entire political dynasty is in jeopardy. He could face 15 years in prison for insulting the royal house. 2 weeks earlier, his daughter was suspended as prime minister by the country's constitutional court. Former Thai leader Thaksin Shinawatra has testified in court seeking to defend himself against royal defamation charges that could land him in prison for 15 years. He stands accused of breaching strict lèse-majesté laws shielding Thailand's royal family from abuse and criticism in a closed-door trial in Bangkok. Prosecution case revolves around remarks he made to South Korean media a decade ago, with the defendant due to give at least 3 days of testimony. Recent events of both father and daughter are a serious blow to the powerful Shinawatra political dynasty. For the past quarter century, the 75-year-old telecoms magnate has been a defining figure of Thai politics, founding a movement which has competed with the traditional pro-royal, pro-military elite. His prosecution, combined with his daughter's suspension 2 weeks ago, represents a dramatic waning of the family's political fortunes. Also seems to be a huge abuse of the state, to say the least. China has cost Australia 10,000 jobs in the nickel industry. Wow. Now it's coming for copper and lithium, says Australian Senator. National Senator Matt Canavan will push for an inquiry into the impact of China's dumping practices. Thousands more Australian jobs in the metals industry are under threat as China floods global markets with state-backed supply, prompting National Senator Matt Canavan to call for a Senate inquiry into the issue. Prime Minister's own Resources Minister Madeleine King said the other week that Chinese financed supply expansion in the nickel industry cost us, that industry, and 10,000 jobs last year alone. Wow. 6,000 more jobs are at risk in the copper and lithium industries. Pretty scary stuff. But the Australians are chumming up to China while also chumming up to America. I don't think they know what they want. Meanwhile, things are getting tough at the German border. Germany's new government imposed border checks in violation of the Schengen Agreement to demonstrate toughness on migration, though crossings started slowing years ago. The number 983 bus braked shortly after it crossed the Oder River from Poland into Germany, easing inside a large tent and stopping. German police officers boarded, pulled off a man with gray hair and stuffed luggage for further inspection, then sent the driver on his way. It took about 8 minutes, an example of a headache that has quickly become routine for people crossing between the two countries as Germany makes a public show of cracking down on illegal immigration. Amid a voter backlash over the millions of asylum seekers who are not asylum seekers entered the country over the past decade, German officials have thrown up checkpoints to search vehicles crossing their borders from all sides. Neighboring countries have followed suit, including Österreich, starting last week, Poland. Checkpoints are beginning to undermine the idea of a free movement in the European Union, a series of agreements beginning 40 years ago, which culminated in the Schengen Agreement. Well, ain't going so well. Scotland. Ladies and gentlemen, I talk about Scotland, the Western Hebrides, a place I'd love to go. I've never been yet. Driven by it, but never been there. It's mostly because it's remote and it's beautiful, but one day I'll get there. But not on this ferry system. A state-owned ferry system is failing the residents. It's a stunning Scottish isle. Good luck getting on or off of it. With aging ferries delayed sometimes for days, life goes haywire on an island in the Outer Hebrides. The text message arrived with an ominous ping as I drove north through the rugged Scottish Valley to catch the next day's boat to the spectacular remote island of South Uist. Because of technical issues, my crossing was canceled, wrote the ferry company, and there would be no trip on this route for the next 5 days. Politely but firmly, the company's phone staff also insisted that my trip was a no-go. Suddenly, they changed course. A little later, a call came offering a different crossing that would add 3 hours drive time to my journey, but at least it was sailing. Getting to South Uist, 25 miles or 40 kilometers as the crow flies off the coast of northwest Scotland, always required time and a little patience, but now it feels like a travel roulette. In theory, it can be reached on 10 ferry crossings a week in 3 hours and 30 minutes. But so frequent is the disruption of the ferry from Malig on the mainland to Loch Boisdal on South Uist that hoteliers fume about canceled bookings and islanders fret about missing travel connections. There's the ferry at Loch Maddie. There's somebody on the ferry. The underlying cause is a botched renewal of an aging fleet of boats serving 50 Scottish ports and harbors. Blame for expensive failings has been directed at multiple sources. The Scottish government, which owns the ferry company Caledonian McBrain, known as CalMac. So there you go. State-owned enterprises. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. And this is where they're all trying to get to. That's the villages in Erskay. That's an island south of Southeast. Outstanding wildlife, striking scenery, walking, fishing, and a slower pace of life, if you could get there. That's John Daniel Peterana, whose company provides renewable energy. The mental pressure that puts you on is really bad, the ferry service being unreliable. And here's where they are. So he had to drive north to the Isle of Skye to get there. So much for that. Iceland's volcano has erupted once again, ladies and gentlemen. The eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula has prompted evacuations, including the town of Grindavik and the Blue Lagoon once again. No damage casualties have been reported. Look at there, that lava flow. The earth splitting in two. Oof, man. A volcano in southwestern Iceland erupted early Wednesday in a spectacular show of spewing lava and glowing magma, marking the 12th eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula since 2021. The Sunnukur volcano's overnight eruption is the 9th in the area since December 2023, prompting evacuations. And there it is, south of Reykjavik, near the Blue Lagoon. Magma forced its way to the surface at 3:56 in the morning, over 2 hours after seismic activity started in the crater Roe. The eruption created a fissure measuring 700 to 1,000 meters long. The volcano erupted just northeast of Stora Skorgfjell, about 30 miles southwest of the capital, and magma flow was reported to be similar area previous eruptions. As of 9 a.m., there are no reports of immediate damage or injuries and no threats to infrastructure, but all routes heading into and out of the area were closed. Flights to Keflavik, an airport used for access to Blue Lagoon, were operating normally and on schedule. That's interesting. Well, look at that, man. Wow, that magma. Oof. Oof, that's some magma there. Well, a hijacking occurred at the Vancouver airport in Western Canada, folks. Police say a hijacked plane at Vancouver National Airport led to delays in flights being diverted Tuesday afternoon. According to Richmond RCMP, a Cessna 172 small passenger aircraft was hijacked from Vancouver Island area and entered near the YVR airspace. That's Vancouver Airport. Victoria International Airport said the aircraft was operated by Victoria Flying Club and the incident was safely resolved with the individual involved arrested by the RCMP. On-line flight path data for the light aircraft shows it taking off Victoria's airport and landing in Vancouver. Wow. Was it a teenager who on a joyride? Who knows? Illegal border crossings in the United States are down to record lows, according to Customs and Border Patrol. Border Patrol apprehensions nationwide also dropped to a historic low, according to Customs and Border Protection. There were 25,228 total encounters nationwide, down from 29,000. That is 25,000 too many. Apprehensions dropped to 8,024, which is a record low. It should be zero. It should be zero. Trump sends a new message to Putin. He's got 50 days to get his crap together, or you are going to suffer some massive tariffs. President toughens his stance with more arms for Ukraine. It took 6 months, but President Trump seems to have concluded that Vladimir Putin doesn't want peace. Russians will have a lovely talk with the president, and then the missiles will go off that night, Trump said in the Oval Office. This new realism is welcome change from Mr. Trump's previous strategy of leaning only on Ukraine and has a better chance of getting a ceasefire. Well, that's an editorial from the Wall Street Journal. I disagree. The Senate will restore $400 million for PEPFAR and cut just $9 billion under the president's plan. Senate Republicans said they will amend the House-passed rescissions package of $9.4 billion in foreign aid and public broadcasting cuts to restore $400 million for the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief, PEPFAR. But we're still cutting public radio. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Cut public radio. The Senate advances that bill, clawing back foreign aid and public broadcasting funds, but not PEPFAR. So that's hopefully the end of these evil state-sponsored propaganda outlets. Trump says that credible Epstein files should be released amid a MAGA revolt. The president opens the door for releasing more information on accused sex trafficker amid outrage among his base. President Trump has expressed support for the release of credible files on accused sex trafficker Epstein. He said on Tuesday that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi should disclose whatever she thinks is credible. She's handled it very well. It's going to be up to her. Trump said last week encouraged supporters to move on from the case, told reporters at the White House in D.C. whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. So Trump, in fact, is calling for Epstein files to be released. You all happy now, all you Epstein obsessors? Trump promotes major energy and artificial intelligence initiatives with business, political leaders in Pittsburgh at a big press conference he had yesterday. Under the Trump administration, America is getting back in the game, and we're going to actually be doing more than they do. Talking about China. Summit was hosted by Carnegie Mellon. The event comes in the wake of Amazon's announcement of a $20 billion investment in data centers around Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's why they're restarting 3 Mile Island nuclear plant, putting my life at risk, and I get no electricity from it. NVIDIA, Taiwanese-born CEO, is betrayed America, and we should begin an immediate counterintelligence investigation against him. Ilandre van Jaarsveld, welcome to you. NVIDIA CEO lavishes praise on the Chinese communist in Beijing, drawing rock star reception. Jensen Huang, head of a $4 trillion cap chipmaker, says Trump won't mind his meetings in Beijing. Trump might not mind, but we do, you traitor. The head of America's most valuable company delivered a love letter to China while visiting Beijing, extolling the country's technological advances and praising its best-in-the-world electric vehicles. They're not best in the world. Tesla is. Decision, part of a trade truce in which China agreed to speed up exports of rare earth elements, opens the door for NVIDIA to step up its business. He wants to bring AI chips to China, advancing to Chinese. This Taiwanese-born trader to America. Yep. Chinese-born trader to America. NVIDIA CEO lavishes praise. You can't unseat Trump. He's not going anywhere. Well, the Supreme Court keeps ruling in Trump's favor, and the New York Times is at a wit's end. They don't know what to do. In a series of terse, unsigned orders, the court has often given the green light to President Trump's agenda without murmur of explanation. In clearing the way for Trump's efforts to transform American government, the Supreme Court has issued a series of orders that often lack fundamental characteristics of most judicial work, an explanation of the court's rationale. Silence even more striking in the face of 19-page dissent by Justice Sotomayor, joined by, of course, Elaine Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji Brown Jackson is that girl in school that kept failing her test and the teacher felt sorry for her and gave her a passing mark. That's the one you remember from high school. Republicans in Congress are beginning to shift, backing Ukraine, matching Trump's reversal. After years pressing end-U.S. aid to Ukraine, many Republicans have abandoned that position now that President Trump is supporting the country against Russian aggression. Well, I don't support the president's position. No, this is prolonging the war. And Mamdani sticks by his Islamist fascist pro-terror stance. Globalize the Intifada stance. He met with business elites in New York, trying to woo them over, suckers, and told them that he stands by his stance in globalized Intifada. He wants to bring radical Islam all over the world. Well, the climate zealots have got a little something to learn here. As I've been telling you, the Earth's weather goes in cycles over thousands of years. So now the climate zealots are actually realizing this, some of them anyway. The West mega drought might not let up for decades, the study suggests. Clues from another dry spell 6,000 years ago are helping scientists understand what's driving the latest one and why it's been so unrelenting. But you see, 6,000 years ago, humans weren't putting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in any major way other than a few campfires. So what are you learning? The mega drought has sapped water supplies, ravaged farms, ranches, and fueled wildfires across the American Southwest for 25 years. Not in 12 centuries has the region been so dry for so long. Now comes worse news. Relief may be decades away. According to new findings published in the journal Nature Geoscience, the dry spell is no mere bout of bad luck, no rough patch that could see an end anytime soon. Instead, it seems to be the result of a pattern of Pacific Ocean's temperature that's stuck because of global warming. They're still trying to blame it on global warming. Then what caused it 6,000 years ago? They're demonic. They just don't let go. And there you go, folks. That's the news for today. All right, let me get to the chat and say hello to some folks. See what's going on here, okay? All right. So we had 1,500 here at one time. Thank you for that. The Mammoths drove Dodge Rams. Yeah, exactly. Republicans have to support the war as there are rare earth minerals in Ukraine. We don't need the rare earths in Ukraine, Marius. I'm sorry, that's inaccurate. We just opened a new rare earth element mine in Wyoming, which is going to produce 75% of all needs for rare earth. So, we already have the Mountain View one in California, and we are securing other rare earths around the world. Even the South Africans claim they want to give us access to rare earth. Hester de Graaf, ANC loves poor people. They create more every day. You're right about that. You're right about that. Angelica's late. Well, welcome for being here. Ukraine has blown up that vital bridge in Crimea, so vital supplies cannot get across Ukraine territory. Won't happen. Those AI chips are printed in Holland on Dutch machines. NVIDIA doesn't print its chips. It might print some in Holland, but most are printed in the United States. I'm surviving. I can only hope that Deputy President does the thing and gives me my portion of the lotto. Mario Steliers, hi. Did you all see anything about this news? 400 million lawsuit is being prepared in the United States. Several people have sent me that link. I haven't had time to run it down. Busy. We have a lot of things, but stop smoking. It's not easy. Divorce was easy. Leah says divorce was easy, but can't quit smoking. Wow, that says something. Border Oaks doing a great job. Should be zero. Yeah, exactly. Joan Stewart, thanks for the news. You're welcome, Joan. Val Cooper, hello to you. What else we got here? Hundreds of people in our area and surrounding towns complaining about kidney pain. Well, that's not good, Loretta. Going to leave the WhatsApp group and Telegram group. I have your email, your number, and following social media. Okay, Ms. Rao, you're welcome to do that. No need to announce your departure, but thank you for sharing. Buffalo soldiers and Bushmen left and forgotten Northern Cape. Yeah, they were dedicated soldiers. And in Namibia. There is hot heat in Iceland. That isn't correct. You're correct, Val. Leslie Wilson, ANC are more concerned about the millions of ZAR lost because of illegal cigarette sales. No, they're not. They're behind illegal cigarette sales. He talked to Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma about the illegal cigarette sales. Nice that police are protected by a security company. Well, that's crazy. The cleric sold us out, says Alan. Joe Pearl, the ANC could diminish the effect of Trump tariffs easily, but it would come at a big cost. 30% reduction on export USA will be offset 30% tariff. Huh? 30% reduction on exports will offset the cost. How is that going to happen, Joe? That doesn't make sense to me. Are you making a point that I'm not understanding? I mean, if you reduce your sales of your material abroad, that's less revenue coming in. So I don't understand what you're saying. Seriously considering going to USA, political clown world here. Oh, yeah, UK is bad, Hendo. Citizens and private security companies saved us during the looting, not the useless saps. Correct. Lee Mother's Love's back. There's another Lady Smith in Western Cape. Thank you, Chris Kokomore, but you're way behind. That was a long time ago we talked about that. They are there because of Western companies, not on their own dime. Has anyone thought that maybe the ANC want tariffs and sanctions? That way they can blame U.S.? Well, they can blame us, and they blame us anyway. So, but I mean, it's the misery is coming. Like you said before, government is bankrupt. We just don't see it as much as we see ESCOM because we don't use them in our house on a daily basis. Smart point there. We're happy for those who get the call, but I don't put refugees on a short list of potential harassment. Keep it quiet. ANC can never fight militarily. They've always had to resort to terrorism and hit soft targets. You're right about that. Napoleon Dynamite's talking to Fabian. El Murray says, when USA drops the 4 men in Swaziland, they should just take a load of people. Yeah. I don't know how they got them there. Probably a charter flight. John has no choice as useless ANC still has the majority of the cabinet. I'm not sure what trash can politics is talking about there. What else? Let me just check on something, make sure that Ronaldo is still going to show up. Okay. Oh, he's got me joining his cloud. Okay. Well, I sent him one, so I'll cancel mine. Delete. Okay, so my meeting is canceled, so I'll join Ronaldo's. Okay. All right. What else we got here? A friend of mine got an email from USA Today saying an agent will contact her in due course. A lot of people being contacted this past week. A lot of people. You're in the crap. It means you probably being derogatory towards any group that intends to preserve whites, but the fundamentals remain the same. No idea what you're talking about. Every day, hope, the hand, the minorities, says James Duvall. Joe Rafferty, I think these Chinese make ammunition with all the horns. Ugh. Fabian says, I'm waiting for my pension payout, so after inquiry today, I was told there's a problem. SAPS is in arrears with members' pension contributions to be paid. Oh, jeez. Jeez. Oh, that's not a surprise. I'm so sorry to hear that, Fabian. Thing of Downs, welcome to you. Flying Dutchman's laughing about something. Okay, great. So these criminals will be in South Africa pretty soon. It won't take long to break out of Swaziland's detention. Good point. Yeah, that's not good for South Africa. I don't mean to laugh. The SBB, the new AWB since the Boer War. No, the SBB is not the... No, it's not the AWB. That's not even fair, journalism. Not even remotely fair. Monterey's here. Haven't seen him in ages. What's point of flying Griffin? They have no ammo for them. That's true. Well, they just got some missiles. They claim they just bought a bunch of missiles from Janelle. Air-to-air missiles. So they do have that as a form of attack mode, but it's not ammunition for the cannon. So you guys are talking to each other, not to me. So Taiwan does not produce 90% of the Western world's chips. Oh my goodness, Alan. No, it doesn't. It produces a lot, but not 90%. We have chip manufacturing plants in California, in Mexico, in Idaho, in Texas. Yeah, but you're right. It can never be allowed to fall to China. That's correct. Conor McGregor's leaks influence his president's campaign. I have no idea what you're talking about, Wild Mountains. I know who Conor McGregor is, and I know what he's been saying about Ireland. But what are you talking about his leaks? What leaks and what presidential campaign? Is he running for president? They'll never let him be president. They'll never let him be president. They'll do something to stop him, I'm sure. Her full life, 36 years in the military, 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. My mom at 88 still alive, so we must be thankful for what we have. Yeah, Leah, I'm with you on that one. Police employed safety. Yeah, okay. Golda says, I know we should ask refugee questions, but I need to just get some peace of mind. I saw that people got phone calls that applied 3 weeks ago, and we applied in exact dates. Well, Golda, yeah, that may very well be the case. The rumor floating around is that someone in the State Department let it leak that they're just picking these things at random out of the database, which would seem to match with what you say. I don't know how to give you peace of mind other than you'll get the call when you get the call. And you got people who sent it on May 12th have been called. You got people sent on May 12th have been called. So I don't know what to tell you, Golda. I mean, you know, it is what it is, and I have no control over it, and you have no control over it. And as far as peace of mind, you submit a statement of interest. That's the only peace of mind you can get until you get the phone call. Amanda says, if you were here, I would give you history books from World War I. They are valuable. I will keep them for you. Well, thank you, Amanda. I'll try to keep space in a suitcase for that. It's very kind of you. Holland makes the world's main and only chip manufacturing machines. Stuff I'm talking. So you're telling me the Micron plants in Idaho got their chip manufacturing equipment from the Netherlands. The Intel plants in New Mexico got their chip manufacturing machines from the Netherlands. It's news to me. I didn't know that. Mamdani's getting away with it because the United States is going the same direction as the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. We're being overrun by Islamic fanaticists, and it's being fueled by leftist losers in this country who hate America. Yep. They hate America. Story Times Israel. No, I didn't know it was in the Times of Israel. I was wondering where people saw that in the media. What would you recommend as an option to stop Russia-Ukraine war? Starve them to death. Starve them. Just cut off all energy, cut off all food, both parties. It'll be harder with the Russians because they can feed themselves. But Ukraine can't feed itself because its agricultural production is disrupted by the war. Lee, I didn't realize you're bedridden. Sorry to hear that. I finally get to see a doctor tomorrow, but it's not going to amount to anything. It's my GP about my hip. That's been a problem when I could barely walk when I was in South Africa until I saw a chiropractor, a physical therapist, and a medical massage therapist. All right, so I think I'm caught back up again with this. I'm back down here. Alfonso Ferrero, what's up? Chip making machines. So, Alfonso, you're saying the only chip manufacturing machines are produced in the Netherlands that provide the machines for China, Taiwan, and the United States. That's interesting news. When we're going to start joining you? Well, it's a program he asked me to do several years ago. I go on his program. I bring Ronaldo on my channel occasionally, but they don't have anything really to bring him on for right now. Well, the criminals are going to Eswatini. What makes pumpkin pie so popular in the USA? I don't know. Pumpkin pie is okay. I don't find it that great. Maybe the availability of pumpkins. Somebody thought they were clever and turned it into a pie. Maybe that's what makes it popular. What makes cherry pie so popular? I like cherry pie. I don't like apple pie. I don't like apple pie at all. Excuse me. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. Be sure to hit the like button. And sorry to go with over 1,000 people still here, but hey, gots to go. It's time for Ronaldo in 3 minutes. Netherlands have only the tech to do the latest gym. Oh, thank you very much, Arnold. Thank you very much. That explains it. So it's not all the machines. It's the latest ones you're talking about. Okay. Cool. All right. You guys have a good one. We'll see you later on. Please go watch my content. I published that video, ANC's Double Standard, and it's got a few views on it already. So please go watch it. I'll give you the link. Oh, wait. The shocking drama. Is that one loaded? Yeah. Why is the ANC attacking their own GNU partner? So I got 2 videos up now. Please go watch them. Yeah, so anyway, thanks, guys. Why was chips made by hand and machines then South Africa, no business links to the Netherlands? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. You'll see me on Ronaldo. You'll be redirected there if you want to join us. We have 1,009 people. Let's see how many of you make it there, okay? Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here.